brief schedule is at 12 o'clock we will have Sergei Koyun joining us, director of A95 Consulting Group, and we will talk about the outlook of the fuel market in Ukraine. At 1 o'clock post-meridian we will have Dmitry Lubinets, the Commissioner for Human Rights, and we will talk about the first results of the work of our Commissioner within his first 100 days in the office. At 14:30 we will have Mykola Lukashuk, head of Dnipropetrovsk Regional Council, and we'll talk about the situation in the Dnipropetrovsk region. Now we're having Oleksandr Sienkevych live with us, Mayor of Mykolaiv. Mr. Oleksandr, good morning. Good morning. Mr. Oleksandr, we know that Mykolaiv suffered strikes by the loitering drones in the night, and in the morning we found out about the strike by the S-300 rocket. What's the situation? What's the information about the consequences of the strikes? In Mykolaiv we had air raid alert in the morning. We had a strike by S-300 missile. Now we're investigating the area, and we will promulgate the information in the mass media. In the night, Mykolaiv region was attacked by 14 loitering drones. 14 were down by our military, but five more drones targeted different installations. One fell in the private area, another one struck one educational institutions. The strikes resulted in fires which were mitigated, put out by our emergency service personnel. As to the electricity supply, the city works in economy mode. We did decrease the electric transport for 80%. We only have 14 trolleybuses and trams in the streets of Mykolaiv today. The rest is compensated by the establishment of the new bus routes. The total amount of transport in the streets of Mykolaiv today is around 300 units. It's a regular daily norm for transport. It's just that today trolleybuses and trams were replaced with buses. This electricity saving practice is new for the inhabitants of the most territory of Ukraine, but it's not new for the population of Mykolaiv. They are already used to it. The population of Mykolaiv is already used to saving electricity, and we have the street lighting off. We do it from the very first day of war. Besides, now around 220,000 inhabitants of Mykolaiv still remain in the city. We understand that the large industrial scale enterprises, they keep saving energy. Today the traffic lights are off in the city, so I call all the drivers, please let the pedestrians in front of you cross in the street. Don't forget that there are also road signs which regulate the rules of movement around the city. As to the temporarily relocated people, one, two, Mr. Oleksandr. We have minor technical issues. We're expecting the communication to be reestablished and our speaker reconnected. The connection is being reestablished. Mr. Oleksandr, we lost you. The connection's been cut. We can hear you. Yeah, we stopped at the traffic lights operation. How do you hear me? Yeah, we read you clear and loud. We can go on. Okay, availing myself of opportunity, I want to remind all the drivers about the traffic rules. Do not rely on the traffic lights, but look more at the road signs. I call all of them to comply with the traffic rules. That's the overall situation in Mykolaiv. Mr. Oleksandr, in view of the electricity saving regime all around Ukraine, is anything gonna change in Mykolaiv in terms of heating season? The heating season is being started by the resolution of the executive committee, and it's been governed by only one rule. The average day temperature should be falling below 8 degrees centigrade and within 3 days consecutive. If it happens, we're starting the heating season. We're preparing it within the year as to the normal practice. And within 139 days of war, we haven't been bombarded for only 40 days. We still keep our preparation works in progress. We do everything possible. We pump the water into the heating system. Last year, the heating season started in Mykolaiv on the 1st of November. So we kind of take those dates as pivot dates, but we are almost ready to do it now. As we say all around Ukraine, the common problem is the absence of electricity, but we have another problem is the absence of water. You know that starting from October 12, we don't have clean water. We're drawing water from Pivdenny Bug river, but it's brackish, so we kind of cannot use it in the system because the system may break down due to the use of salty water. So the consumption of water decreased like 20 times starting from the beginning of war. That's why we're preparing the water. We add chemical agents. I'm saying this for those who think that the water will not be brackish and it can be drunk, it can become potable, but no. We will start using it together with the start of the diesel generators in case of necessity. There's yet another issue with the heating season in Mykolaiv is the absence of the windows in the majority of the apartments. As I mentioned, the majority of population left Mykolaiv. Some of the apartments don't have windows because of the explosions, and our emergency teams, our utility teams, they don't have enough time to fix those windows, so we involve teams from Odessa and Ivano-Frankivsk joining us. Another team from Zhytomyr and Rivne joined us today, and we're waiting for another utility service teams from Lutsk to join us today. So I hope these people will help us to cover the broken windows in the buildings. So now the percentage of the windows covered by the plywood is around 60%. So we will start heating in all the buildings where it may be available. People keep asking me if they will still have to pay for heating even in case they don't use it, and my response is yes, absolutely. We had this idea not to start heating where the number of inhabitants is below 20%, but then we withdrew from this idea because the absence of heating during winter season may result in molding and breakdown of electronics. And of course, the furniture made of plywood, it can it can result of breakage of furniture as well as so the people will suffer a lot more loss than possible. Dear colleagues, your questions, please. Good morning, Olga Panasenko, Ukrinform. As to the payment of utility bills, you're saying that more than half of the population of Mykolaiv left, but still you require them to pay their heating bills. What's the state of payment for utilities for the time being in the city? We definitely have some of the utilities like water supply, for example, paid on a per use basis, but as to the other utility services, we have to understand that there is a lot of utilities like fixing roof, fixing windows that should be paid for, and the payment for heating supply is around 70–80%, because the payment for heating supply is being divided on a 12-month basis. It's not being paid only during heating season, but it's broken down within the whole year. And I want to thank everybody who pays. They're real Ukrainians who support their cities. Still, we extend sufficient funds from the municipal budget to avoid the cash gap, to compensate the difference in tariffs by the supplier. That's how we survive. And maybe the last question about the educational institutions. Are they all switched to online mode of study? I want to remind you once again that it's been only 40 days without bombardments within this year. I can tell you that we have 4 schools destroyed to the ground. 88 educational institutions suffered damage during bombardments, which means that it's dangerous for the children to stay in the city. So we had all our education system questioned, and out of 90,000 children who were in Mykolaiv before the war, it's only 10,000 who still remain in the city. So I think back in August, I guess we decided that the school education will be only in online mode. We don't have children in the schools today, and only those teachers who cannot do this from homes, they come to school to maintain the educational process. So we will keep study only in online mode. Mr. Oleksandr, I want to thank you for finding time to join our air. I will remind you we had Oleksandr Sienkevych with us, the Mayor of Mykolaiv. Our next briefing is at 12 o'clock. Stay with us.